What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new video. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again, ladies and gentlemen, as we're about to get into Black Lightning Season 4, Episode number 3, this time on time, ladies and gentlemen. No winter storm to knock out my power this week, even though I live in Texas. Last week was certainly brutal. Again, I do apologize for dropping episode number 2 extremely late for you guys, but we are back on time giving you guys our insight into episode number 3, guys. So let's go ahead and start talking about this week's episode, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, I love this episode so much more than I did episode 2. Episode 2 definitely left me craving a little bit more. So when we start off this episode here in episode 3 and we had that confrontation between Tobias and Jefferson, for some reason I immediately thought to myself, is this really happening? Are we really about to go ahead and kick off this episode with a brawl between these two? I'm here for it. Bring it on. Regardless of the fact that it certainly was a dream at the end of the day, it does at least kind of set you up for what the remainder of this episode is certainly going to be like. And it did not disappoint at all, as it does seem as though we're probably going to give ourselves some sort of crazy little love triangle kind of going on. And while technically love triangles usually consist of like at least one person and liking the other person a little bit more type of thing, in this case, when it comes to Lynn, you can clearly see how Lynn feels about Tobias, but the fact that Tobias is kind of scheming, clearly sending them both separate sets of flowers. He knew Jefferson was just going to show up. You know what I mean? So the fact that Tobias is plotting and trying to just drive that wedge between the Pierce family, as cold-blooded as it gets, man. It's one of the reasons why I love Tobias as much as I do. He's relentless. He never certainly gives up, and when he wants something, he certainly goes after it, regardless of who's in his way. So I thought it was a brilliant scheme by Tobias, to say the least, but man, I'm definitely getting ready for what this feud is going to be like. And considering the fact that, listen, this is the final season of Black Lightning, why not go out, having the face-off against one of your most formidable foes? And again, another reason why I appreciate the Black Lightning show so much is that they know how to handle their rogues gallery. The fact that Tobias was the main villain in season 1, he's kind of stayed around in I don't want to say necessarily in the shadows, but in the background a little bit with his own storylines, keeping them relevant. And now he's kind of back in the full lead role in regards to the villain side of things for the final season 2. So, it's not like they killed him off and they're a one-off and they're done with him. They really do know how to handle their rogues gallery. So I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. And what I also love about this episode is that it feels very much like Lynn and Jefferson have had their eyes open just a little bit more. Their therapy sessions are clearly coming into play here, helping them out perhaps a little bit more. I love one of the lines in here for Jefferson when he the reason why we get this dream in the first place is because of the fact that he's sitting down with his therapist and explaining to her this dream, that recurring dream that he's clearly had over countless nights. But one of the things that he realizes, he says, without him, I don't know who I am, in regards to referring to Black Lightning. I think Jefferson Pierce very much has become very much more Black Lightning than Jefferson Pierce. He even mentioned it in here, the fact that he stopped being Jefferson for quite some time and focused on being Black Lightning, and look where it certainly got him, right? But it almost feels as though without Black Lightning in his life, Jefferson doesn't really know how to push forward, if you will, to find a place for Jefferson anymore in this world. He clearly still very much believes that his time as Black Lightning is up, and after the good deed that he wind up doing for his fellow teacher here from Garfield, it almost kind of solidified to him that, yeah, I definitely don't need Black Lightning. As much as I've had this mindset of without him, I don't know who I am now kind of trying to find a little bit of a purpose in my life. And it's interesting he mentions that, right? Because I feel like as a viewer to the show, when we were watching it, I think a lot of us were saying, we want to see Jefferson back at Garfield a little bit more, right? Like, that's what we loved about the very first season, was his involvement in the community and things like that. And so it's fascinating to me that he even brings that up, that I've almost forgotten how to be myself. And I've been more sort of Black Lightning. So the fact that we are getting this Jefferson Pierce side of him, it's pretty interesting to me, honestly. And I'm really excited to kind of see the fact that they've made this season so much more grounded, that it isn't full of vigilantes and superpowers and things like that, right? They really are trying to get into the nitty gritty of Jefferson Pierce. And I really, really enjoyed that. So we did see him come across Lala's lab. We know that they definitely have a history, but especially back in season 1. Again, we are making those connections back to the very first season here, where Jefferson discovers his underground fight club, which we don't talk about the fight club. That's the number one rule. So outside of that, he does find that his, I believe it's the same teacher that came to him in the previous episode, the fact that his kids had gotten taken away. Isn't that the same kid that wound up getting shot, that Lala was beaten up on also, if I'm not mistaken? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about the wrong father. But I do recall the teacher, pleading to Jefferson Pierce himself about everything that happened and things like that. So it's fascinating to me to see him not only stand up for the guy, but then also give him a place to stay, because the Pearsons, in fact, do have a second household, which we've seen him occupy before in the past. So he does allow the guy to kind of have a place to stay, not only for himself, but his family. And again, this really drives Jefferson Pierce to have just a little bit more purpose in his life, to kind of make him feel like he's kind of getting a hold of who he is, so much to the point to where now he's in a much better mood. He thinks things are certainly going his way, and he wants to go ahead and kind of spread that wealth to his wife for this particular dinner or meetup. And needless to say, we know exactly who's waiting for Lynn and Jefferson back at this restaurant, and that is in fact Tobias. So I did find that rather interesting. And in regards to Lynn on her side, I thought the therapy session was fantastic for her this week. The fact that we have heard on countless occasions her kids clearly tell her, that you're not a meta, you shouldn't be involved in this sort of thing. Kind of stay in your lane, if you will. We've even heard Jefferson mention that to her, especially in this episode when he kind of walks in on her again, testing out these metahuman abilities, right? I think he says, I think I put in my notes, he knows the cost of having these powers and are trying to certainly warn her, really trying to get her out of that lane again, right? Like, you're not us. You should not be out on the field with us. And this really hits Lynn in a certain type of way. And I've been wondering to myself, like, why has she been trying so hard to kind of fit in, if you will, this season? And she's been using the excuse of, because Jefferson's not out there, because Black Lightning's not out there, so somebody's got to watch after our kids. And really, you come to find out that her addiction, the idea of her wanting to fit in, is really drawn upon of experiences when she was a child. The fact that she comes from a military background in her family, that everybody has really tried to keep her out of that field, if you will, for her to apply herself in other ways, right? So again, even though she wanted to join the military, another family of hers telling her, no, stay in your lane. You don't want to be a part of this type of thing, right? So she's always felt very much left out. So I love that realization for Lynn, because that can certainly drive and be a trigger for somebody in regards to being addicted, whether that be alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever the case may be, right? So I love the fact that Lynn at least makes that connection for herself. Will that help her in the future, right? Like, will that pull her away a little bit from using the metahuman abilities? We'll see. But what I do find really fascinating here is that of all the people to understand her or get her or know what she certainly needs to hear when she needs it, as smooth and as cold-blooded as they come, Tobias, mentioning to her, listen, the only thing I need from you, because he clearly wants to build a hospital and try and cure ALS and things like that, right? And he wants Lynn to be the first person to certainly go ahead and do that. And while Lynn is focused on the idea of her meta abilities, she's kind of lost the idea of who she is, right? The idea of, I just need to be me. Lynn needs to live her life and have a purpose, if you will, right? leave it up to freaking Tobias to be the person that just says, I just need you to be you. Giving her purpose again, to put her head and put her brains certainly to work and things like that, and feel wanted, which I'm sure she probably hasn't felt in quite some time. So maybe feeding into that addiction a little bit, maybe just in a completely different way. And so again, while I understand that Lynn has this mentality already, clearly wants nothing to do with Tobias, the fact alone that he's appealed to her to even stick around for dinner to hear him out, because he's appealing to what she certainly wants to hear. This is just dangerous, man, dangerous. And I don't know what episode 4 is going to have in store for us. I'm really curious to see if Jefferson and Lynn are going to have a little bit of a blow up together. I have no idea, but something's coming. Something's coming between these two. But I really love the Jefferson, Lynn, and Tobias work here this week. I thought the storyline was just so incredibly strong between them, honestly. Couple honorable mentions that I definitely want to go ahead and talk about. Gambi gets the opportunity to meet up, go to Monta Vista himself, meets up with the gorgeous Lauren, who I'm assuming is the CEO or head of this company. Black Lightning has a bunch of just gorgeous women on the show. Have you guys noticed that? I feel like they just do not fail in their casting, like, at all, man. But Gambi's certainly a lucky man. And I love how Gambi just plays it. I don't want to say plays it completely dumb, but plays it super smooth. Like, he's not there to get intel. You know what I mean? Now, whether or not Lauren understands that or realizes that, who certainly knows? But she's given Gambi the opportunity to get close to see her product. You get the opportunity finally to kind of see exactly what these DEGs actually do. Direct energy guns, I believe she mentioned that they were referring them to as. Calling them peacekeeping tech, if you will, lethal to not only metas but humans also. But I think her excuse was, they do have stunners because we're not trying to burn holes through everybody's chest, which it looked pretty lethal when Gambi got a hold of it, honestly, and literally burned a hole through a Black Lightning suit, if you will. So there's definitely a lot to worry about having just these guns on the streets. I mean, the idea of like just police officers shooting down people accidentally, or you know what I'm saying, like with cause or whatever the case may be, like, and you want to put these weapons into people's hands so that they can protect themselves. Yeah, they're just going to be disintegrating civilians, as I think Lauren wound up putting it in here. But Gambi definitely understands the risk and the power behind these DEGs. So we'll see what winds up happening in regards to that. But great to see that Gambi's doing his 007 infiltrating stuff, to say the least. And we also have to talk a little bit about Jennifer in here too, man. I am so worried about Jennifer. I'm also very thankful that we did get a sighting from TC here this week. We heard his voice last week, but now he's actually in the series again. So I am wondering if they're going to start rolling out other metahumans that we saw, the younger group of metahumans from last season or not. Maybe they'll form an outsiders group at some point in time. Who certainly knows? But we clearly see in here, Lightning's just very much doing her own thing. Jennifer's just kind of living her life how she wants to. I don't know if it's this mindset of she's so powerful, nobody can stop her anyway, type of thing. She's getting a little bit of an addiction herself, I almost feel like. I don't know if that stuff is genetics or not, but there is an element, I feel like, of Jennifer that can't get enough of the power. Even though people keep telling her to stop going up into the ionic atmosphere and collecting all this energy, she continues to do it. It continues to make her feel great, to the point to where now it almost seems as like in the little hint that we got that maybe she's turning into pure energy. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it, but the special effect was pretty cool to kind of show like the energy particles or whatever it was she was turning into. It was a pretty cool effect, but Jennifer has no plans on stopping. But I will say this, I am fascinated to see her storyline, because I feel like if there's any character that's now kind of dealing with maybe the social climate a little bit more, Jennifer definitely is, especially when it comes to just the idea of what you post on social media, the concept of like fake news and how news and media sort of presents its information and things like that. And for Jennifer to already be like that type of person that kind of rushes in without fully thinking about her actions, right? Still very much very young to being a vigilante and a superhero. Even Anissa in here mentions the idea like if you trained more, right? So she is very much an undisciplined character, and I'm kind of wondering how much trouble that's going to get her in, right? Like when you start trying to attack or get involved with like a media host or somebody that's got their own TV channel and stuff, right? Like I feel like you're really putting yourself out there to be judged and to have people just sort of tear you down and mix up what your true message certainly is, and then also taking selfies with people and following people on their sites. Like, you don't know this kid, right? Like, this kid just be like, yeah, this is me and my girl Lightning, we just hooked up the other night. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't know who these people are. So to see Jen, like, it doesn't surprise me that Jennifer finds herself in this position, because that's just who Jennifer is. She's always just been the wild one, just the, you can't tame her sort of thing. Now that she knows that how powerful she is, it almost feels as though she's just embracing it fully, and it looks like it might get her in trouble. So we'll see what happens, but I am interested to see how Salima Kill's going to tackle this this social commentary, if you will, in regards to social media and fake news, if you will. So should be good stuff, though. Should be good stuff. Let's see here, guys. I don't know how to even address this topic. Grace wakes up. Yay! Chantel Twee's back. Thank goodness. I'm so glad that she's certainly back. Great to see Grace certainly wake up in here. But I gotta say, do we have to rush do we have to rush to a secret marriage? First off, I didn't even know this guy was a priest. I mean, is he legally even able to marry these two? I have no idea. We literally just got introduced to this guy yesterday last week as a doctor, and now I'm supposed to believe that this guy also has the ability to marry people just like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Anissa didn't even want to wait. Like Look, there's a part of me that can't blame her, right? Because I feel like whenever Grace does come onto the show, she's gone immediately, right? Like, I feel like we get maybe 3-4 episodes, if that, out of her, maybe like the first 2 seasons or something like that. And so I get the idea of Anissa realizing like, hey, Chantel Twee's only on how many episodes? Okay, we got to get this marriage going now. So I get it. I get it for the Anissa character, because Grace does get taken away from her quite often. But again, I really would have loved to have more time with these two. I really would have. I really felt they got shortchanged in season 2 for sure. I enjoyed the increase of her appearance in season 3. I truly did. But I really would have liked to have seen at least allow her to wake up perfectly from her coma. Can she eat first? Maybe have a glass of water, maybe sip on some wine, maybe get out the hospital first before proposing and having a secret marriage. Like let her get her wits about her a little bit more, right? Like maybe she had a mini stroke when she was in a coma. She's not making the clearest decisions in the world. You know what I mean? Like the doctor hasn't even come in and seen her. Like let's just slow down with the wedding stuff. But Anissa's in love, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you just can't hold it back. You can't hold it back, guys. So it felt a little bit weird, a little bit too fast for me. Could have gotten like 2-3 more episodes of them talking and planning and then doing a secret marriage. I just felt like the pacing of this relationship has just been all over the place. And while I enjoy them together, I still don't know how to feel about all of it. So, congrats, but I am thankful and super glad that Grace is awake, because I do love their chemistry together. Like I do want to see more of them together on screen, so that they can build that relationship, especially for me as a viewer to fully be on board with like, yeah, I can see the love in their eyes. I can see it. But yeah, season 3 definitely helped, but it just makes me laugh that boom, we're rushing right into this wedding, and she just woke up. So we'll see how that goes. But I did find that pretty interesting. And I will say this too, going back to Jennifer a little bit, one of the things that I continue to love about this series is the dialogue. I just love how comfortable all these characters are and the actors are with one another, because even though the actors for Jennifer and Anissa are not sisters, they act and they just come across as sisters. Some of the dialogue between them, like, I just don't know how you read it off a script and just executed that perfectly. Like, you guys have been picking fun of each other for like years. You know what I'm saying? They just have really great timing when it comes to just how they showcase their love and their affection and just their back and forth banter towards each other from time to time, right? Like the idea of, Anissa trying to tell Jennifer, like, that's why you need to learn how to train more, right? So you don't go messing up public property. And and then Jennifer hits her back, well, have you seen some of the potholes you left in the pavement around here in Freeland? You doing these superhero landings, you could just walk straight, right? Like, I absolutely loved it. Just calling her out for her actions also. Just, it's the sibling rivalry stuff back and forth. And it's little hints of chemistry and dialogue like that truly go a long way with me to really enjoying just this cast and crew and what they've put together for this amazing show. But listen, while I wasn't the most impressed with season 2, or I should say with episode 2 last week, there were definitely some aspects I certainly enjoyed, but it felt a little bit all over the place. For me here, episode 3, I feel like we're back to normal, baby. Back on the bandwagon. Let's go, Black Lightning. I'm so glad this episode honestly knocked it out of the park. And for me, when it comes to this love triangle between, technically it's not a love triangle, but this triangle between Lynn, Tobias, and Jefferson, I'm here for it, guys. I'm here for it. But I want to know, are you here for it, though? Listen, at the end of the day, these are just my A-plus opinions. I always want to go ahead and know yours, though. If there's anything in particular that I missed, whether it be characters that you want to further talk about, storyline plots that maybe I missed out on, definitely go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below, guys, and we'll continue this discussion. But in the meantime, listen, if you love our channel and our content, hit that like button, guys. Give us that big thumbs up, and also go ahead and follow us on social media right here at A+ Opinions. You can definitely find all of our links in the description box below, ladies and gentlemen. But until next time, guys, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.